I'm going to start by saying something that I think seems pretty obvious, but I think bears repeating because it's so important. Dick Blumenthal has set the bar very, very high for his successor, and that in choosing that person, we should be nominating the Democrat who will be the best lawyer for the people of Connecticut. The job is too important. It's really that basic and simple. And if you agree with me, I like my chances because I have broad legal qualifications, including 26 years of hands-on practice as an attorney. I have a record of real achievement in advocating on the issues that we as Democrats care about. And as I'll explain later, I will be 100% committed to the job. Let's talk first about qualifications. I'm an honors graduate from the Harvard Law School, where by taking course overloads, I was able to earn a master's degree in public policy at the same time. To help pay for my education, I worked as a teaching fellow in constitutional law for former Watergate prosecutor Archibald Cox. Upon graduation, I didn't take the normal lucrative route of going to work for a large corporate law firm. Instead, like DiCrescenzo, instead I went to work as staff counsel to the Carpenters Union for Western Connecticut. For nearly 10 years, the issues and needs of working men and women and their families was my daily job. Things like fair wages, pensions, health benefits, job site discrimination, workers' compensation, unemployment compensation, job site safety. I fought insurance companies whose only tactic in workers' comp cases was to deny and to delay the process. I went after unscrupulous contractors who paid cash under the table in order to game and cheat the system. And I went after national retail chains when they came into Connecticut and paid workers substandard or unfair wages. Since leaving the Carpenters, I've been at some of the best law firms in the state. And it's been a very broad practice that at various times has placed me in criminal court, civil court, probate court, housing court, juvenile court, even small claims court. I've been part of mediations and arbitrations. I've been before state and federal agencies. I've worked with local governments. And I've taken cases successfully on appeal to Connecticut's Supreme Court. All told, and I also practiced law with Dan Malloy over there for 5 years before he graduated to become mayor. All told, my experience with the Carpenters and in private practice has given me a hands-on, ground-level feel for how the law can have an impact on the lives of Connecticut citizens and how it can have an impact on the jobs and economic environment in which businesses large and small have to compete and struggle to survive. The bottom line with respect to qualifications is that I think uniquely in this race, day one as your Attorney General, I will be ready to hit the ground running. I mentioned that I have a record of real accomplishment as an advocate for the issues that we as Democrats care about. I served 16 years in the Connecticut General Assembly, including 6 as the Senate Majority Leader. Prior to that, I chaired the Judiciary Committee, which is the committee through which all issues of legal process and law enforcement must pass. Any legislator will tell you that it's easy to vote the right way. It's much harder to be a true leader on an issue. And I can truthfully say that I was a leader on a large number of issues, ranging from consumer protection, civil rights, domestic violence, protecting the woman's right to choose, gun violence, including the ban on assault weapons, living wills and end-of-life issues, HMO reform, open space preservation, clean air, clean water, and much more. On some of these issues, I work closely with Dick Blumenthal to write laws that are being enforced by his office to this day. On virtually all of them, I had to take on some of the most entrenched interests in Hartford, from utilities and the insurance lobby to the religious right and the National Rifle Association. I've been in some political fights throughout the years as well. I took on John Rowland, first as a candidate, then as State Democratic Party chairman, when he was at the height of his popularity on issues of ethics and steering contracts, the issues that eventually brought him down. It was I who broke the Enron CRRA scandal, which at the time was the largest loss of taxpayer dollars in Connecticut history. And in 2006, when I chaired Ben Lamont's campaign for U.S. Senate, I was the only Democratic leader with a statewide profile who dared to stand up to Joe Lieberman and support Ed Lamont in that Democratic primary. Clearly, I don't win all my battles, but I've never walked away from a fight that was worth having. I'd like to talk now about commitment. I think what's made Dick Blumenthal such an outstanding Attorney General isn't just that he's a superb lawyer, but that he's really been, for the last 19 years, 100% committed to the job every day of the week. I've made a pledge not to run for U.S. Senate in 2012 or for governor in 2014 if I'm elected Attorney General, because I don't see for the life of me how, as a first-termer, you can get your arms around that big job if your attention and focus is already someplace else. You need to be developing working relationships with the 185 lawyers in that office and earning their professional respect. You've got to be getting up to speed on very complex litigation and legal files, and you have to be developing and implementing and pursuing a legislative agenda before the Connecticut General Assembly, so Carolyn can come lobby, hopefully in favor of it. You can't be doing all these things if you are already a candidate for some higher office. And so Connecticut deserves a full-time Attorney General, one who's devoted 100% to the job, and that's the kind of Attorney General I will be. Just switching gears for a minute, and I'm sure this is true about a lot of the people in this room. Both of my parents grew up very, very poor during the Depression. My mother in small town Mississippi, my father in rural eastern Washington state. And they saw firsthand how the playing field could be tilted, sometimes cruelly, against the average citizen. They also saw, though, in government an institution through which you could fight for fairness and social justice. My wife came to this country as a refugee from Castro's Cuba, not speaking a word of English. Today she's a successful business executive and a real shining example of how equality of opportunity lies at the foundation of the American dream. I want to be Attorney General because I think it's the best platform in state government from which to fight to level the playing field and for equality of opportunity. As your Attorney General, I'll be there for consumers when they need me. I will rigorously enforce the laws against polluters, against scam artists, against those who prey on the most vulnerable in our society. I will be a staunch defender of the civil rights and civil liberties of all of our residents. And I will stand behind middle-class residents living paycheck to paycheck and stand behind those who need their jobs and stand to lose much more. And I won't hesitate to take on the utilities, the insurance companies, and healthcare providers if they either charge you too much or fail to provide services to which you are legally entitled. To do all this, I'm going to bring my 26 years of hands-on experience as a practicing lawyer, my skills as an issues advocate, and I'll stand by my pledge not to run for a higher office during that first term. To get there, I'm going to need the help of people like you, and I'm asking you for your support tonight. I'll close by saying that Dick Blumenthal compares or describes, I should say, this office as that of the people's lawyer. And I think the people of Connecticut deserve the very best legal representation possible. I know I can give it to them, and with your help, I will. Thank you.